All right, joining me now on set, talk some more, a little bit switching gears. We got Monica Crowley, former Assistant Treasury Secretary, host of the Monica Crowley podcast. I finally made the cut on that. And Gregg Jarrett, Fox News legal analyst and author of the brand new book, Trial of the Century, on shelves today. There it is. Look at that. Terrific stuff. The Scopes Monkey Trial. Fabulous stuff. I just want to play a piece from Kevin McCarthy because today could be a day of reckoning for the FBI. Take a listen, please.
If he misses the deadline today, I am prepared to move contempt charges in Congress against him. We have jurisdiction over this. He can send us that document. We have the right to look at that, Republicans and Democrats alike in that committee. And if he does not follow through with the law, we will move contempt charges against Christopher Wray and the FBI.
All right, that's a pretty determined Kevin McCarthy, I would say, Monica Crowley.
Yes, it's very good to hear that from the Speaker, that they are willing to actually level consequences against the director of the FBI if he does not produce this document. Little context, Chairman Comer and Oversight have been investigating the Biden crime family. One of the things that has come to their attention via a whistleblower is the fact that there exists a document from several years ago indicating that Joe Biden was part of a criminal bribery scheme. We don't know if it's true, but the Congress needs to investigate it because it was brought to their attention. The FBI has been stonewalling this now for weeks. Wray wrote a letter to Comer and others in Congress saying, you're not going to get this document. Apparently today there was going to be a phone call between Chairman Comer and Director Wray. We'll see what comes out of this. But this Congress has every right to this document because it remains unclassified.
Gregg Jarrett, what authority does this Congress have? So Comer will read the riot act to Christopher Wray. Comer's not a guy to mince words, okay? He's got nothing to fear. Christopher Wray is on pretty shaky ground. But the question is, legally, what can they do?
Well, there's no legitimate basis for Christopher Wray to refuse to comply with a duly authorized subpoena. You'll notice what McCarthy said. Contempt of Congress. He didn't say what kind of contempt of Congress. There are two kinds, and frankly, neither one of them are all that good. Criminal contempt sends the matter to the U.S. attorney, appointed by G and a President Biden and a guy who reports to Merrick Garland, who also reports to President Biden, who is the subject of that particular document being sought. Christopher Wray, who would otherwise be held in contempt, also reports to both Biden and Garland. Conflict of interest under the federal regulations, it requires a special counsel. Garland won't do it. He's running a protection racket. So the only other route is civil contempt of Congress. You file a lawsuit, you go to a federal judge, hopefully you find one that's impartial, and he would then issue an order to Wray, you must comply by order of the court. Now, the problem is that takes months. Sometimes it takes years. So it's not a great option either.
Yeah. And you'll recall, Larry, that during the Obama years, Obama's Attorney General, Eric Holder, was also held in contempt of Congress, and it didn't matter. They just don't care. I mean, unless you have the mechanisms, as Greg pointed out, to really enforce these subpoenas and these contempt charges, these folks don't care. They all protect each other.
You can die of old age by the time it gets around to it.
No, I know. It's a pretty sad state of affairs. They're probably going to have to threaten some kind of financial appropriations, reprisals.
Yes.
I don't know how far that'll go, but I think that's going to be in the mix. Christopher Wray is toast one way or the other. I mean, if a Republican comes in and going to clean house, the top 5 layers of the FBI, the top 10 layers of the FBI, whatever. Gregg Jarrett, your column on Fox Digital, though, is very important because you remind us that the Durham report, okay, nobody's criticized. I mean, the Durham report is the report. It's the report of record now about the Russian collusion hoax nonsense BS faced by Donald Trump in his campaign, in his administration, in his dumb impeachment. Anyway, Obama knew about it.
Sure.
Vice President Biden knew about it. Attorney General Loretta Lynch knew about it. Brennan of the CIA knew about it. Clapper knew about it. They all knew about it because this was a Hillary campaign make-believe thing. They all knew about it, but no one's getting punished, Gregg Jarrett. That's what blows me away.
Silence to hide the truth is a lie. And by that maxim, there are plenty of liars among prominent Democrats who knew that Hillary Clinton had personally approved the lie, invented it that Trump had colluded with Russia. The FBI almost immediately debunked it as bogus. John Brennan, then CIA director, rushes over to the White House to tell then President Obama and our current president, Joe Biden, hey, this is all Hillary's doing. It's a smear to frame her political opponent. What did Obama and Biden do? And Loretta Lynch and James Clapper and James Comey? They kept silent. As America was convulsed in this media-driven orgy of lies for 3 years, that is unconscionable. It's despicable behavior to remain silent when they knew the truth.
You know,
And there's no accountability, and I'm not confident that there ever will be accountability, Larry, because the system protects itself.
a strong Republican president could clean house.
Yes.
Top layers.
Must.
FBI and the CIA and the director of national, all that stuff. It could be done. To me, that is the only solution, okay? I mean, you could threaten appropriations, I understand that, but you need it could have been a Democratic president once upon a time, not this Democratic Party.
That's
because
right.
they're so implicated in these lies. It's really quite remarkable. Anyway, sad tale. You know, MAGA, they can talk about democracy all they want. This is undermining our whole democratic system. Monica Crowley, Gregg Jarrett, thanks very much.